Hello, YouTube. I'm Jason. I guess I am Grounded Roots Healing. And I just had a strange experience that I thought I'd come on here and explain while it's still fresh. So, I had a incident last night where I think I've triggered someone's spiritual awakening. Real time. So I know I've done this before, where I've given people these aha moments, but I've never done it face to face, or it's so strange. I've never done it where I saw the light in their eyes change. So what happened was, I'm here at a job site in northern Canada, working in an industry that's male dominated. There are no females here. And it's a very quote unquote manly profession. Not my part of it, but most of the men that are here are the manly men. They have a very, very deep mask that runs deep, that's been conditioned into them by society, and in particular this industry that I'm working in. So I, being a spiritually minded individual, hell, I'm writing a book on spirituality, so it's my main hobby. I tend to not say much. Now, I'm on the awakening journey, and many of the other people here are not. I have found a handful, several, who very quietly let something slip and let me know that they are on the awakening journey themselves, and that usually leads to more conversations, but it's few and far between, though it is growing. And I think that's the point here. So I'll just go through the scenario, what happened. So I sit often in my office doing my job, and I wear earphones. Play music very loud, so I can drown out the filth around me, the noise, that masculine bravado garbage talk that I don't have to listen to. It's all 3D masking. It's what it is. But if you listen to things, it can go into one ear and maybe not out the other. It can affect you. So I tend to block it out. So on a 3D reasoning behind this, the 3D reasoning behind this would be that I have diagnosed autism, Asperger's. And so when anyone asks me, like, why do you do that? That's my first explanation. It's something that's more palatable than I'm ascending the frequencies, and I'm more going towards New Earth, and I'm becoming a spiritual teacher. It doesn't go over well. So a quick explanation of autism is a much better answer. So these guys are all asleep, you know. It's not a derogatory thing. It's just the state of awakening that they are at. Sleep is a state of awakening. You never are not awakening. You go to sleep, you forget when you're a child, and then you go through your life and it slowly creeps in. It accelerates at periods, but you're always awakening. So they're at a particular point that their oversoul, their higher selves, God, chose to awaken. They chose to awaken slower than I have. Okay. So I'm out here, vibing high, pushing my energy out, and trying not to interact as little as possible, and not overtly be a spiritual guy. I'm not sure if that's the right path, but I think it is the one with to the highest level of peace for myself out here. So I was doing that, and this one guy asked me why, and I said, well, I have autism, so if I put the earphones in, it blocks out a lot of the noise. And the 3D explanation for autism, one of them, is that our brains can't it's like a hierarchy. So outside input, it can't prioritize it the way that a non-neurodivergent person can. So the data comes in, and if it's just a noise or someone talking in another room or a bang outside, we prioritize that as just as important as the conversation we're having. Therefore, it gets very difficult to concentrate when there's a bunch of noise from the outside world. I think that the outside world is just, we're not designed to be in this ridiculous situation. We're not supposed to have a stinky mechanical device making tons of noise, grinding holes in the ground. We're supposed to be in nature. That's what I'm designed to be. And I'm trying to force myself into this 3D job. So that's why I get overwhelmed. Long story short, I don't tell anybody that. But if you are that way, the autistic way, you you will awaken. I can guarantee it. You're meant to. There's a reason you have that particular archetype and style of thinking. And you're not supposed to be out here. So I told it to this guy. He's like, oh, that's really interesting. I have some of those traits. And I said, oh, yeah, okay. I didn't want to say anything because I had a feeling. We can tend to get radar for people like ourselves. And then I explained, my son is also this way, and these are the issues he has. And he's like, oh, my son is like that. And then I asked him a couple questions, and he's like, yeah, no, absolutely. And then I saw the click. I saw the realization, and I saw the franticness of that realization. And I remembered when it happened to me. And I got a little emotional. I didn't show anybody that because you don't do that here. But I know what he's about to go through. I can't stop him from having to face that. The reliving your entire life from a different perspective now that you've awoken to something. And all of that realization of, okay, now I'm autistic, it's still a 3D realization, but it is a step higher on the ascension. So he's taken a step. It's a step in the awakening process. Exactly how it happened to me. I had that realization, and then I had the more harrowing realization that none of this is real, and it's just a game where we come to learn lessons. But that comes later. This step, I am absolutely positive that I was put in that position, and for whatever reason, I don't even know why I mentioned it, said that at that particular moment to trigger the awakening in that person. At least this level of it. So now he's in for a rough few months. It's a harrowing realization that you are different, number one. You may have already known that you were different and you thought differently, but now that label comes with stereotypes, connotations. It comes with realizations that you have to change your behavior and then what happened for me was going through and basically reliving my life from a different perspective. Every scenario that ever happened to me when I was a kid, why I had trouble in school, why nobody liked me, why I had trouble making friends, etc., even to the point where I interrupt people in conversations, I can't make eye contact, all of this stuff that I have since, well, it's not so prevalent because I've started treating myself with respect, knowing that I have limitations in this 3D world. There's certain things I won't do and certain things I will do. I don't say yes to every social event. I stay in quiet places as much as possible. I get out into nature. I meditate. I put in earplugs so that I can drown out that 3D noise, which is just energy. It will affect you if you let it in. So I found myself, like I said, emotional for this guy. I don't know him well. I won't know him after this. But I do know that I was put in his way to trigger that. And that what he's in for. And I feel for him. From this respect. From another perspective, he wrote the story for himself. We wrote the story so I would encounter him at this point in his life and trigger that knowing. And that's going to start the adventure of a lifetime for him. But it won't be without fear. And it won't be without sadness. And it won't be without a lot of things that are perceivably negative. But now I can look back and see that we're part of the healing process. They had to be dealt with. It was energy that had been stored from years of not knowing why I was the way I was. And it had to be let out. So now I go around the world and I don't even associate with that word autism, because I don't think it's, from the perspective of where I'm living, is a real thing. But down here on the 3D world, it's a label you get, and he's gonna get it. You know, I was trying to tell him, I said I wouldn't start looking at the assessment pages tonight while you're at work. And he couldn't help himself. By the end of the shift, he was convinced he was. And he was sitting there, he said, I've already been through like 100 scenarios where this makes sense, and now I understand why. But I could also see the fear. What does this mean? You know? We like things to stay the same. We don't like when we have these major changes. At least until you start getting used to constant change. And I'm pretty damn good at that now. Nothing stays the same. The more you cling to try to hold things the same, the more it squeezes through your fingers like sand. You can't grasp. The only thing that doesn't change is change itself. It's always changing. So we're trying to go with the flow and see where this change is going to take us. But he ain't there yet, and he's going to have a rough, months. It took probably, started getting better after a month, because then I at least knew how to manage it better. But it took years before I was really good at managing it. But good for him. I'm glad for him. And it's a positive thing, you know. You're moving up. I hope someday he understands the perspective that I can see this from now. I know he will. And we move on to the next target. Whatever the next tower moment is, or whoever I bring that to, they're coming faster and faster, and it seems like this kind of thing happens weekly now. And I suspect that that's going to keep accelerating. So that's it feels like a big responsibility. I know it's not. It's written. I don't have a choice anymore. This is going to happen whether I want to or not. So this is who I am, walking tower moment, and I just need to get to the point where where I feel joy when I see someone do that. Feel it now, but I also feel that sadness for what I know the person's going to go through. But again, they did this to themselves. I'm just a facilitator. I'm not even doing anything. I'm on a path flowing through this world now, and I'm being placed in places. It's not my choice. So we keep moving. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream, merrily, merrily, merrily. Life is but a dream, guys. All right, I think I'm going to leave it there. I hope this video finds you well, and love you all, and we'll see you soon.